to leave the world of ordinary cars behind and make the Eagles switch. The revolutionary two-wheel, four-wheel drive American Eagle. The only automobile that lets you switch from two-wheel drive to full-time four-wheel drive. From high mileage on the road to high adventure off the road. Two-wheel drive luxury to four-wheel drive security. American Eagle. A switch from every car in the world from American Motors.
What's up, YouTube? This is Tom with Fresh Vintage. Today we're here with a very special guest, David. Thanks so much for taking the time to be here.
Thanks, Tom.
We are at the Mopar car show. We have a 1983 AMC Eagle, and this thing is fantastic, very well done. We got a manual transmission swap. We're going to talk to David about everything that he did to this right now. So, David, tell me some of the things you've done. We'll start under the hood here. I see the valve cover. Is that a plastic valve cover or is that a metal valve cover?
No, that's actually one of the steel valve covers. This motor is actually a 1980 motor that I rebuilt. It has basically a heavier crank and smoother running slightly compared to some of the later motors.
Okay.
But I couldn't fit the actually aftermarket valve cover on that just because of the number of valve bolts and stuff. So they changed them. So I had to go with the factory cover, but I think it ended up coming out pretty good.
Yeah, it looks great. And calling this out here, way back when I rebuilt one of these for a senior project, and I'm definitely aging myself by saying that, but we did the exact same thing because your intake and your exhaust, are obviously inline six guys know this, but you will get leaks here. And so my car had the 80's auto shutoff feature that you never wanted. Like you come to a stoplight and it would just shut off. So you have to seal it, and that's one of the ways that we figured out how to do it. So
yeah, and that's kind of the deal with this Clifford intake, and it's actually a Clifford header as well. But the intake's aluminum, the header's steel. So you have to do the bent washer routine to get everything to bolt down and make sure you get good, basically good sealing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see the Holley Sniper EFI. How does that system work? I saw the little computer inside, but how does that work?
So it actually has a rail-mounted fuel pump. Still a factory tank, but I had to actually put a fitting in the tank. And I ran copper NICOP fuel line all the way to the front, and then I used the high-pressure line out to the actual injector setup itself. Just basically a throttle body injection.
And it runs off the, these guys had an O2 sensor, if I remember correctly,
yes,
right?
Yeah,
okay.
I ended up actually adding it just below the header.
So it's, you can't see it, but it's down in this general vicinity.
Yep.
So, okay.
Added an O2 sensor to it. So,
okay, awesome.
Yeah, really good throttle response, I think, compared to the carburetors. It seems like it runs pretty well.
My dad and I rebuilt too many of, I think it was like Carters, if I remember correctly. We rebuilt them and it still ran terrible, but... So yeah, let's look at the interior here. Really nice interior. And could you let's just take a look. Oh no, you're good. And this is a pre-85, and the reason I say that, folks, is 85 and newer, you didn't have to pull that pin because the front drivetrain was running, back spinning, so you could just flip that switch up to like 40 miles an hour or something like that. This car, you actually have to come to a complete stop, pull that pin, go to four-wheel drive, and then take off. But all of this is screaming nostalgia. Like, I can't even tell you how much nostalgia is going on here, folks. These seats are really, really nice, very clean. And David recently did the conversion here. He went from an automatic to a 5-speed. What was some of the challenges you faced with swapping the transmission there?
Well, the biggest thing is naturally just getting all the parts. So I ended up actually just buying a complete donor car for it. And that way, all the pedal assemblies, basically everything to do the conversion is all there. If you're trying to buy everything piecemeal, you spend a fortune on it.
Oh, I can imagine.
Spend far less just buying a parts car and doing the conversion that way. But I actually rebuilt the transmission myself.
Okay.
And so it's just a T5 board.
Yeah.
T5 behind it. And the difference in how the car performs with the manual versus the automatic is night and day.
I could imagine. Between that and the fuel injection, it's probably a whole new car,
Yeah, it really runs and drives really, really well, which is all I was trying to do. I just wanted to keep up with traffic.
Yeah.
And not get run over.
That is part of the battle with these things, right? Especially the rear end, folks. If I remember correctly, the rear end, some of these things had either a 308 or a 273 gear in the rear end. Well, so they definitely.
There's actually another gentleman here with an Eagle that has a car that has 273s in it. This is actually 230 235s, I think, is what's in this
Really,
car right,
in the rear
right
end,
now.
235. Wow, that's
So
amazing.
I had to mess with the gearing in the transmission a little bit to actually get the ratios where I wanted it, so this thing wouldn't run out of lungs at
Yeah,
60 or 70 mile an hour.
yeah. So, and just some side, I'd only show up for a second there, but I see the license plate. Did this thing come from Pennsylvania?
No, this is actually a Texas car.
Oh, okay. Because I originally I was from Pennsylvania, so I just kind of, it's interesting that the Pennsylvania license plate's in there of all things. So very,
Yeah,
very
it's actually
clean.
played off my dad's car. So
Okay.
but yeah, this is part of the carpeting that I redid this last year.
Okay.
Yeah, trying to find little bits and pieces like things like these speaker
Oh yeah,
covers
those things
are
always
I mean,
cracked.
they're hard, kind of hard to find, and even harder to keep in one piece because the
Yeah.
plastic and
Mm-hmm.
the UV doesn't treat plastic.
Just
too
screwing those in too hard. As a 16-year-old kid, break it, And then I went in my backyard and I got like 4 Eagles that I would just steal parts off of.
Right.
So
This car will never be perfect. I mean, I'm always looking for parts like the rear hatch seal and stuff like
yeah.
that.
And they're so hard. I was telling someone earlier who had never seen this car before. I was like, when you bought this car, just to shout it out, when you bought this car, I'm 16. I had a Jeep. I had a Jeep. And it was like, no, I didn't have a Jeep. I had a station wagon with a Jeep drivetrain in it. And that's part of the issue is so many of these cars just got beat,
Right.
beat a lot. And I am guilty of that very much. I took my car out in the woods. I would take it out on logged roads and stuff. And unfortunately, it probably had some damage because of that.
Right.
And especially up north, I would like, oh, let's go check out this used Eagle. And I would look and the actual, there were cars up north where the, what do you call it here? Where your cross member right there was the bolts were literally rotted out of the body because the frame was gone. It was just rotted. So,
Right.
But David, what's one thing you love about it? One thing that drives you nuts about it?
Jeez. Well, honestly, the one thing that drives me nuts about it is something I can't really do anything about. It's the fact that this car has been painted at least twice.
Okay, I see it now.
It was a gray.
Yeah.
And it was originally a two-tone gray and blue car.
Yep.
Then someone painted it like a lighter blue, and then
Yep.
it's been painted since.
I see that.
There's nothing I can do about that.
Yeah.
But that kind of drives me nuts.
I see that in the engine bay here too.
But yeah, I think what I love about it is just the fact that I rebuilt the powertrain myself, and it
Mhm.
seems like it runs reasonably well. So that's kind of cool.
It's very, very nice, very clean. This is a part of Americana that I hate to say, I'm ashamed to say it got forgotten. But if you stop and think, folks, I always tell people this. They're like, oh, who cares about this car? A lot of people are like, I don't even know what this thing is or what do I care. If this was built better, you've seen a million Subaru Outbacks on the road. It's all-wheel drive, front engine, all-wheel drive, 4-cylinder, gets you great gas mileage. You can stuff the family in it and do some light off-roading with it. If these would have been built better, AMC probably would still be around in some variation today. So, but David, thank you so much for taking the time. Really, really appreciate it.
Definitely appreciate it. Thank you.
So folks, we found out there's another Eagle here. I'm like a kid in a candy store mixed with Christmas Day right now. And George owns this car. George, thanks so much for taking the time here. I can't remember, what year did you say this was?
This is a 1984.
84. Okay, so we got some more awesome vintage Americana here, some AMC action.
With 85 axles.
With 85 axles, okay. And this is an automatic.
Yes.
Okay. And saw you coming in. Let me look in the interior. Sorry, 1 second here. Let me look in the interior. This thing is awesome. Custom steering wheel. Really, really cool steering wheel. Are those factory seats?
Yes.
Oh wow, I've never seen that
They have
before.
the same.
Oh, okay. So you have seat covers on them. Okay, okay.
This is a daily driver, so I don't
Yeah.
ruin the original fabric.
No, right there with you, man.
I think
So,
it's the work.
really, really nice. Manual windows, manual door locks.
This was not a limited. This was your taxi cab Eagle.
Yeah. And I was.
Put the tilt column in. You know,
Oh, you put the tilt steering in? Okay.
Put the tilt column in and just got the AC working.
Nice. You converted to R134?
Yeah.
Oh, good for you, man. That's awesome. And this used to be a vinyl top, folks. Forgive me, I'm going to touch this, but it's a truck bed liner now. So actually, that's a great way to go because these things crack and they fall apart. So funny story, George. I was telling David. And folks, for listening, this is a hilarious story. Let me run back to the engine here. I went to with a friend. I was 19. I had more money than sense, and we were at a car auction, and one of these, 1986 4-door sedan like this, rolled onto the line. Nobody's bidding on it. And I'm like, I'll give $100 for it. When you know what, I want it for $100 bill.
No
So
way.
I got for like tax and title. I think it was out the door for like $135. So
About 10 years ago, I paid $300.
300. Okay.
$20,000 later, it looks like this.
How many thousand later?
At least 20.
At least 20.
Everything's been rebuilt. Engine, transmission, axles, seats.
So you need to have a
transmission.
junkyard in the backyard like I did. So.
Don't tell my wife.
Thanks so much, George. Really, really appreciate it, buddy.